Yeah. Stick with optimizing for users. That's the advice I always give to SEOs, especially those coming up, because in the age that we're moving into, where AI is pretty much going to be, at this point, it seems it's going to be inevitable. There's going to be a need to separate AI-based work versus work that's good marketing. I mean, it's just basic good marketing without trying to cheat. GPT is making the rounds. I personally don't think it's GPT is specifically going to be the AI that dominates, but it is one that's leading into the AI, if you like, revolution. What are your thoughts on AI and ChatGPT specifically?
So my thoughts on AI in general are that it is inevitable because technology progresses at whatever rate you want to take it. It rarely goes backwards, and it's rarely going to continue to move backwards unless there's some kind of horrible global event, in which case it won't matter. So by that logic, AI and a general kind of purpose AI is inevitable on some kind of timescale. I've read a lot kind of about this in terms of experts and their predictions on how long that's going to take, and they vary from kind of 5 to 100 years. But even some of the most conservative people are just pushing it at nearer 100 years, which isn't that far away still, in my opinion, in terms of how big a change that could bring. It's been interesting watching Google handle the various questions in terms of policy around AI content, because we've had like news sites and stuff using, I don't know if AI is the right term in this context, but robotic content certainly for many years.
Right.
So reporting on things like, earthquakes where they have the data linked up already to machines, things like breaking news stories where you get the first couple of paragraphs and the headline, X.X earthquake recorded in such and such at such time. All of that can be generated, and it can be published in a few seconds without oversight. And as you know, when it comes to like news SEO, being first to publish is, it's a massive benefit, it's a massive kind of advantage. And from a user point of view, I think that's brilliant. I would much prefer to know about it instantly and then a human go and kind of, write a story about it and update it. And that seems to be the current policy of Google is, and I saw Danny Sullivan tweeting about this, I think it was today or yesterday, saying, we haven't said AI content is bad. We have said do not use it or any method outside of AI to create content just for search engines, which I think is an incredibly unhelpful answer. And the reason I think it's an incredibly unhelpful answer is that programs like ChatGPT, if you just say, write an article about whatever it is and it generates something, you've probably seen there are free detectors online that you can paste it into and they can say 99.9% sure this is AI written. And then other people say, well, AI content's going to continue to improve, so it won't be detectable, which I don't agree with, because the goal of like ChatGPT isn't to be non-detectable. The reason it is detectable is because it writes so well. So it doesn't need to improve in that way. That the sentence structure it uses, the way it delivers things, you can even tell it to write in specific styles, is very good. Like I would say much better than the average. If you picked an average human and told them to write something and gave them much longer, it's better. And it comes down to that, engram like probability of why it is detectable, because it's using very, kind of a predictable set of tokens to generate that text, right? So we can find that. So, at what stage does that become helpful for a user or not. So without waffling too far about this, in terms of the future of SEO, I don't think 100% AI generated content for things like answers is going to be a thing you can rank for. And the reason for that is if you ask ChatGPT to answer a question or write some content for you, that question, that intent that you're asking is objectively solved because it can give you the correct good answer. It's solved. So my question would be, why would Google ever want to have your pre-written, pre-baked content ranking there when it itself, with I would argue, probably bigger, better, badder data set, just generate that answer itself? From an economics level, you're buying access to that system, or we will be, because it's not going to be free forever, at a markup. So it's never going to be as economically viable for you to generate things with AI, pay to have someone, check it, publish it, whatever, and put it online, as it is for Google to just generate it. I don't think it's happening now for a whole myriad of reasons in terms of why is Google not doing this. The cost of generating an answer through like a large language model like ChatGPT is, I've seen estimates at 10 to 100 times more expensive per query than returning like a pre-baked index page and letting people go off to websites. That I don't know how accurate those are, but I would gamble a lot of money. It's a lot more expensive to do that. So there's an expense cost there. There's a difference between 1 million people playing around with ChatGPT versus serving however many billions of searches a day. I also think there is a safety net for Google of returning like 10 possible results. Because as we said earlier, intent is not objective. People can mean different things. And you see this in search results where Google sometimes it understands that 80% of people will be looking for this, 20% be looking for this. So it might show you two different types of website. Classic examples are, does it show e-com sites or informational sites when you're searching about a product? I don't know. You have to reviews or do you want to buy it now?
Yeah.
Google sometimes embarrasses itself with featured snippets because it gets the answers very wrong. So I think there's all kinds of risks for Google deploying that technology. I think there's going to be a short window where AI content could be very successful. We've just seen, I think it was bankrate.com, not a site I'm aware of, but apparently a big finance site has been publishing AI content. CNET, which I do know better, I think just published 70 articles very quietly under AI, and they appear to be ranking and driving traffic. Again, I can't see that sticking long term, but certainly AI is going to have an impact and change how we work. We use it internally to help with content now. So it can be brilliant at inspiration, at generating outlines, at giving you that different perspective. But again, if Google can answer that question as well, so if you generated something with an AI and then Google kind of sees the query, it's indexing or it indexes your content, and then as kind of one of its checks, it's like, can our knowledge graph or can our large language model give the answer you have? If the answer is yes, then you haven't provided anything additional to kind of the solved question, if you like, which is why I think they've been leaning quite heavily recently into this experience on top of expertise. So if you've written about something and their LLM looks and it's like, oh, well, it seems to actually have this kind of information, which I've never really seen before, that might be these next steps that we need to take. Again, I'd like to caveat all of this while I've just kind of given you a monologue about that. AI machine learning isn't my expert topic. And just because I'm acutely aware, just because I don't know how something is possible certainly does not mean it is not possible. So I'm very open to how things might progress. I'm basing my decisions, like as an agency, as a service provider, as someone involved in the industry, just based on a few axioms about what I know about how it can work economically, and just thinking about Google's strategy and what they want, because however the chips currently are, they will align to, in Google's terms, to what's going to fit them. So I think that's the safe bet to align myself to.